Nice.
I know. Howdy,
Nice.
howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. We got Cinema Scoop going on. We got our own like special fancy intro now. It's nice. It's simple. It's sweet. It's nice. It's good. I like it.
I'm loving it. I love all that cocaine blowing everywhere. That was great.
Oh, it was great. You know, we said no more Mary Jane, and we're gonna switch it up just a tad bit. You know,
That's it. It could have just been talcum powder. You don't know.
All the above. Keep them guessing. But did you saw what was around the Cinema Scoop, right?
I saw it very well. Very subtle. Very good.
Yeah, you know, we might have to point it out for some folk, but you know,
yeah, it needs to be the logo up here. There you go. I need to put it up there.
That's a good idea.
I need to put it. I need to cut it out for me so I can put it on our tiles when we do these videos. We can put it on the tile. There we go.
Matt to do it.
We've branded Wednesdays.
We have, and I think we've done it fairly well. But howdy, David, howdy, Melvin.
Hey guys,
howdy, everybody. Just saw the trailer yourself. Hold up, which trailer are you discussing? Which one you're talking about? Because we got a lot to go over, like a lot.
Right.
Should I say it again?
It's been a big day. It's been a big couple of days.
Yes.
I ended up doing 2 videos at work yesterday. 2 videos at work yesterday because I was getting emails.
But that kind of makes it more fun, huh?
Yeah. I nearly did one in the car today. Then I realized I'd misread it. I thought I'd basically been told that a show that I won't go into, but I was basically told that something was coming back and I misread it and it's not. So I thought I won't bother telling people to make people cry. But
Uh-oh.
I was nearly going live in my car driving. Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh no, I misread that. Anyway.
Well, straight. Yeah. Well, speaking of trailers, shall we jump into things?
Boom.
The brand new trailer from this morning. Well, there are 2, and they're both marvelous in different ways. But the first one is a Sony marvelous. Madam Web has released its first trailer.
That's me doing webbing.
What? It's not Peter Parker based, of course, but there is Peter Parker themes going on, I guess, is what we got.
Yeah.
But it is. Is it not multiversal?
Oh, John might be thinking, oh shit, I didn't delete the other stream. Oops.
Come to us.
Oops.
Come to us.
We're on here. I made a mistake. It was my bad.
Yeah.
I boo-booed, didn't I? And I created the stream and then realized it's your stream, not mine tonight. Oops.
They got it. They'll figure it out. I did comment in there and said, come on. But yeah, no. So it's like that's the one thing that not the one thing. I guess there were a couple little things that did throw me off or make me ask questions in the trailer. But yeah. I did think it looked generally pretty good. It didn't necessarily impress me the way I wanted it to. Is what I think I texted you. But it did look generally good. You know. Concepts I feel like were interesting, but not well explained. If that makes sense. Kind of like
I know the comic, I have to admit I'm looking at that and going, what I don't understand what's going on. It doesn't seem to be. It's almost like a prequel of what we've seen before, sort of thing.
In a way, yeah. Like I feel like it wraps in, but I can't tell if it's an actual multiversal film because it seems like all these different Spider women or Spider people are in one universe. And meeting each other in the one spot?
Well, no, it's because it's supposed to be. My understanding is that the one character is, I've forgotten her name, but she becomes Spider-Woman. So again, it's supposed to be before that happens. So she's not Spider-Woman. So I think it's supposed to be like the birth of Madam Web. Basically.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson.
Who's a time-traveling multiversal character.
Well, that's what threw me off, I guess. Is it more timey-wimey or is it more multiversal? I guess they do coincide, but it felt more like Avengers Endgame than it did Multiverse of Madness or something.
Is there 10 people waiting for the video that I've put up by mistake?
When they did say that, a couple people hopped over, so more hopefully.
Okay. Oopsie daisy. I say so where are we at with Spider-Man at the moment? With so it could be multiversal. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So we have pulled into that a little bit. It's going to be linked into Venom season, the second Venom, which does link into the third Spider-Man. So we've
Yeah.
got multiverse, definitely. Madam Web's character is a time traveling character. She's supposed to be. Thank you, SideQuest. She is supposed to. That was her web is time, isn't it? That was sort of like the metaphor, and that she can jump through it, and she kept jumping Peter Parker through different time and multiverses, I think, wasn't it actually? So yeah, but this character isn't the Madam Web from the comics. It seems to be before, because it seems to me that she doesn't know her powers. Well, she doesn't know her powers at the start. That's what I think. And something happens to her, and she starts seeing these things. Her mom was studying spiders in the Amazon.
Yeah, which is kind of funny, but kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm just like a bit lazy. Like that's a 4 o'clock in the morning decision. That's like, oh, fucking spiders in the Amazon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm going yeah, but so yeah, I think, hey Sarah, and John Campbell's in as well. So the Cassandra Webb, so Cassandra Webb is the one that gets her spider pat, who becomes Spider Woman. Well, that's an interesting question.
It is.
Are you fed up a bit already? Because even DC are doing it. Everyone's fucking doing it.
Well, I'm not fed up with it at all. I like it a lot just for like the sci-fi aspect of things, of course, but I don't like using it as not as a MacGuffin. That's not like the right term for it necessarily, but sometimes I don't like the way Marvel's use. I don't like. I liked Multiverse of Madness. It's one that I go back and don't love, but I do like it. But it didn't utilize it the way it should have. Everything, yeah, I love bits of it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is what Multiverse of Madness should have been. There's a couple others. Flash, I didn't like the way Flash did it. I would have preferred Multiverse of Madness version over that. But Spider-Verse and Everything Everywhere All at Once show how well something can be done with that. I just watched something during the summer that was really good with multiverse, and I can't think of it. But it like smaller budget things, I think, tend to do better.
The thing is with anything multiverse, in theory, it opens up your imagination because it allows you to do anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the Into the Spider-Verse, the cartoon, because it allowed him to do anything, Spider Pig, and just things like that. And in the right sort of things, like so in the cartoon, that works for me because you can play with it, you can be silly with it. When they do it in live action, sometimes it doesn't work because of the silly. So somebody, what was the film, the Multiverse, and one of the things was it the Marvel, one of the Marvel things? She kept jumping from universe to universe, and one of them was pizza balls.
Well, that was Multiverse of Madness. Yeah,
of course it was Multiverse of Madness because it's the thing that's taken it from one to the other, isn't it?
Bruce Campbell
and I just thought that was stupid. I was just like, I know why they did it, because it's stupid. A pizza ball is stupid.
I was okay with that moment because it was Bruce Campbell, but besides that, yeah.
I did like the Bruce Campbell bit, I think, but I just love Bruce Campbell. Give me some sugar, baby. Exactly. Bruce Campbell is one of the greatest. He's just fantastic. But that movie, I need to watch the Multiverse of Madness again because I just think it's one of those films that it's got such good bits in it. It's maybe too long, maybe. There's the bad bits. It's almost like I'm going to be good for a minute, and then I'm going to be really shit, and then I'm going to be good again, and I might be good for a minute or two, and then I'm going to be shit again. It's just. Oh.
But like, yeah, I feel like it might be too long in bits because it just drags in some spots. But like, I kind of would have rathered like I would rather have another 20-30 minutes of it just to explain some more things, have a little more like life to it in certain spots, maybe.
No, I actually think back on Multiverse of Madness, so Doctor Strange 2, and I think I can only remember the bits of it I like. Right. So now I'm sat here thinking, why have I turned it off twice? I've tried to watch it twice on Disney Plus, and I've got 45 minutes in and turned it off both times. There were good bits in that film because I remember them.
Good bits. All the Kamertage stuff, the 838 fighting stuff is cool. Which it could have been cooler, but it was pretty cool.
One eye, 3 eye bit is just shit.
At the very end,
yeah, the whole bit with the zombie Doctor Strange should have been amazing, and it just wasn't. Didn't work.
Yeah,
maybe they tried to
better
throw
in What If
into that film. Maybe there's just too much thrown in. Maybe that was the problem. Multiverse of Madness, so they thought they had to throw everything into it, and it just didn't work.
In-game worked though, and that's both a bunch of stuff and timey-wimey. Like, so it's not necessarily multiversal, but it's
split over 2 movies, and it was a culmination of lots of things, though, wasn't it? With that, whereas Doctor Strange 2 just had lots of things in it.
It was introducing a bunch of new things.
Yeah, whereas maybe. Yeah, where like I say, well, Endgame was a lot of things coming together, so there was a lot of things to tie off there. But it was a lot of that as well.
Thinking Madam Web with that, do you think it's going to be more Spider-Verse like, where things are set up to a degree, and now we can kind of it might not necessarily correlate with what we're seeing in like the Spider-Verse trilogy or whatever, but maybe like that foundation set, so maybe that will make more sense and let Madam Web sit with us a little better? Or do you think that it's gonna be introducing too much at once, kind of like Multiverse of Madness?
We haven't seen it yet, obviously. So I mean, but from the trailer, it looks to me like this is a build-up movie. So this is like we said, like a prequel.
Yeah,
I'm hoping they've Iron Manned it, basically, where they're going to strip it all back. It's going to be relatively simple. We won't see any major superpowers until towards the end. It'll grow through, hopefully. If they try to do too much too quick with this movie, it'll be silly. The Madam Web character is difficult to do well. It's used to be what Marvel used to be brilliant at.
Yeah.
Taking ridiculous storylines, but just keeping this side of stupid and doing it brilliant, grounding it, The first Ant-Man shouldn't have worked.
No.
It shouldn't have done.
But it's
and the third Ant-Man should have worked, but it just didn't.
Yeah.
But brilliant, because they got the tone just right. And if they get the tone right in this, it could be great. My only problem is Sony. They've done 3 brilliant Spider-Man movies, and they've done 2 terrible Venom movies. I know the Venom movies have been popular, but they're awful.
I'm not a fan of either one of them. I like Tom Hardy, but
it's Tom Hardy that's dragged that film. It's a bit like the Thor movies in a way, other than Ragnarok, that they're not great, but Chris Hemsworth is so good as Thor, you don't care. And that's the thing with both Venom films. They're edited so badly, and the writing is just juvenile in places, and they don't just do things that are funny. In that Venom 2, sorry, you got me on a rant now. Venom 2.
No, I'm laughing. Would you rather watch Transformers or Venom editing?
I think it was done by the same person. Venom walks in and he just goes, that's a red one. I'm out of here. And turns around and walks out. Never explains that. And then Tom Hardy just goes, don't be a wimp. And he goes, oh, okay. Then he goes and fights him. I'm like, whoa, there was no.
Which that would have been a great explanation. Cool. That's like the only good exposition moment right there.
It should have been the core to the movie. That line should have been the whole film building up to that line, because it was funny. But actually, it was funny because it made no sense. I loved Venom 1 on the whole.
Yeah,
the editing is terrible. It's so jerky.
Venom 2, I didn't expect to be. I did not like Venom 1. I like Tom Hardy's performance, and I don't mind Michelle Williams' performance in there either. She is always good in everything she's in, but it just wasn't for me. So when Venom 2 was being directed by Andy Serkis, I was like, all right, we're in it. We're gonna be good. Andy's got this. But still, just thinking about it.
I liked Venom 1, but I came out of it just go. It's one of those films that you come out of it and go, that could have been epic. Yeah. That was nearly brilliant. And it was okay. I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again. But it could have been. That's one of the things. It's not that I don't like it. It's a fine movie. It could have been epic. It could have been Iron Man. It could have been, brilliant. And it just wasn't. Venom 2 just isn't very good.
It's not. And I would rather watch Morbius than Venom 2. Legitimately.
I'm going to disagree with you on that just because it's still got Tom Hardy in it, and I do love who played Carnage, and his name's gone out of my head. And
Woody Harrelson. I love me some Woody Harrelson.
I love Woody Harrelson. There are some good bits in the film. Morbius has nothing in it.
Really, I think Morbius had a lot of potential, but it you can tell it. Talk about edited in an awful way. It's edited awfully, but you can tell they edited story bits out of it. Like there's a third of a movie just not there. All of Tyrese Gibson's character, like it.
Matt Smith is great in it. Matt Smith's the only good in it. It's like, you know, I mean, you wouldn't know this, mate, because you haven't got a proper job. Bloody actors. I've got a proper job. So it's like all the reports I do on a Friday when I suddenly realize, oh shit, it's 2:00 on a Friday. Go! It was like the editor went, oh yeah, it's 2:00 on a Friday. Go! And just smashed and just like, here you go, done. I'm going to Malibu. Woo! So I think that's what the editing's like. It's just like it's rushed. And like, should we check it? No, fucking just put it in the cinemas. Be fine. Should we check to make sure there's continuity and stuff? No, it'll be right.
There's continuity that just doesn't make sense in it at all.
Like the CGI in the Flash. Should we check that the CGI is all right? Nah, let's leave it. Should be fine.
Should we delay it again because we've already delayed it 4 years and just give them 2 months to actually work on the CGI? Maybe a couple more dollars. Maybe not even more dollars. Just give them more time. Same amount of dollars, but just give them a couple more months. It wouldn't really hurt. No. Nah.
At some point, we're jumping all over the place here, but at some point with the Flash, the CGI people must have just been going. They're going, should we just cut this out? should we just leave it? And then the boss is going, no, we've already spent too long. You've got to finish it. Like, oh, fuck, fine, whatever. 4:00 in the morning decision. Oh, fuck it, it'll do. I'm going home now.
Yeah. Sci-fi sticker or Sci-Trek sticker. I had mine on my water bottle. I don't have my water bottle in here. That's just live Rick and Morty needs more cowbell. I don't know. We already have Back to the Future. That's what it's based off of. It would be fun to see though, especially if it was the two of them. But I don't know. Have you seen
a lot of the negativity about, to go back to Madam Web though? Have you seen a lot of the negativity already?
Yeah, that's just what I was about to say, because there are parts of the trailer where the concept could be cool, where they have both predetermined outcomes for how this works in a good way and how it works in a bad way. So it can go either way with this one. Hopefully it fits more Spider-Verse like and not so much Venom like and all that kind of stuff. Of course, fingers crossed. But the bad things that stuck out to me in this trailer was, I don't like to say it because she's amazing, Miss Sydney Sweeney. But there were a couple moments that I was like, oh God, that was a bad line of dialogue. It was just and that the fact that was put into the trailer and can deem like trailer worthy kind of spooks me and scares me a little bit.
If you get somebody good at making trailers, you can polish a turd and make it look good. So there's always that concern. I mean, I watch this trailer and I'm thinking, this is interesting. There's stuff in here that I'm thinking could work. But yeah, you can 100% polish a turd. And if there's stuff that sneaks into the trailer that's making you sort of go, then that's a concern.
That's what gets me, because there are a couple moments, like even a little like comedy moment at the very end where I don't remember the one Spider Girl's name, but the one that throws the rock at Dakota Johnson's character, and that could be a funny little moment. But it seemed like none of them had chemistry in that moment, and obviously it's early on, but you just want a little.
Yeah, she should have gone, hey, what are you doing? Something, but instead she just goes, doesn't work like that. Like she's just annoyed about it. It's like there's no energy in that scene. I did stand out a bit.
And just little bits like that just gives it, like I texted you. It's the concepts of this worked. I didn't text you all that bit, but like the concepts of this work, yada yada. But like I texted you, it didn't necessarily like impress me, and I wanted to be impressed, like I am with the Spider-Verse stuff from Sony for this, but.
Well, you compare it to some of the other trailers we've seen today, and it's weak. I looked at that Spider, Madam Web, thinking that looks interesting, but then I've looked at a couple of things we're going to talk about in a minute, and I'm like, I cannot wait for that. And a lot of these things are on Netflix. I mean, Netflix are about to knock it out of the park, I think, in the next 12 months. So yeah, there's some exciting shit coming.
We can be pissed off at Netflix for all their tomfoolery in the SAG deal. But they've got us. They've been cooking, they've been baking, and everything is ready to come out of the oven. It's fresh hot. It is. Oh my god.
Well, they're making money again for the first, because I've been looking. This Warner Brothers deal.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to somebody that has a bit of an inside track on it. But one of the things was he's been talking to me about Netflix. They've been pretty much losing money year on year since oh god, he did tell me it's about 5 or 6 year period, and then they have rerouted basically, and now they've started using the Amazon server system, AWS, and it's been massively it's saved them a fortune. Instead of building their own servers, which they were doing at one point, they've just switched to Amazon. And they use a Microsoft version as well for the advertisement version that they're putting out. But
that makes sense.
So they've actually started making money again. I know they owe $15 billion, but their revenue is over 40. So, and they've actually started making $1 to $2 billion profit a year for the first time for years in the last 2 to 3 years. So he goes, if you think, there was a business plan basically for them to tread water for 3 years, which is why we've not really seen like really amazing stuff for a couple of years from them.
Yeah, it's more like their IP stuff.
Yeah, but then they were going to just let the floodlights out, and now we're just starting to see the results of them making money and starting to invest it again. But they assumed their numbers were going to drop, and they haven't. They've gone up by 22 million in the last quarter. And they just weren't. They were thinking they had a couple of deals. Like over here in the UK, we get Netflix free with Sky TV now, which is one of the biggest. It's your version of cable TV, basically.
Yeah.
So everyone gets it as part of the thing. So that obviously shot their numbers straight up. So I've had a few deals like that, but people haven't turned Netflix off. They'll turn Disney off before they turn Netflix off. People are so ingrained in having Netflix, they just won't turn it off.
Like I'm guessing, I don't know what their thought process was, but I would have thought that maybe they thought they would have lost a bunch of subscribers whenever they did the password sharing clamp down.
Yeah, it didn't. That just went up.
They didn't lose anybody. They gained everybody they had on somebody else's Netflix account and some people that were willing to pay for a cheaper one.
22 million in a quarter, which is impressive anyway. But in this climate,
and on top of the subscriber base they already have,
they were already the biggest by a mile.
That's insane.
Everyone else has either plateaued or decreased, and Netflix went up by 22 million. But I say they're gonna, and this rumor about Warner Brothers potentially buying a part of Paramount.
Yeah,
I've done a video on it. It'll be on Sidetrack in the next couple of days because it gets complicated.
I tried to understand it the other day, and I was just like, I need a wall to bang my head up against.
The problem is you start getting into who owns Paramount and NBC. That takes a little bit of getting your head around.
Yeah, old company. That's probably split.
It's all over the place. But that's one of the things they'll do, because they'll basically sell it in chunks. Is that they'll break it up. So NBC, very basically, NBC will continue to be a standalone. Basically, the current owners of Paramount will just own NBC, and they'll drag a lot of the IP over from Paramount, like Star Trek and stuff, will end up with NBC. Paramount IP might go to Apple, and this is what they're sort of looking at the moment. Apple tried to buy MGM. There's already some conversations about Apple getting Paramount. Paramount Plus will just be allowed to die. It'll just thing, even internationally, but in America it'll probably keep going. But it might be. I can't remember what he said. I've written it down. There was something about Paramount Plus in America. That might stay under NBC. I'm not sure. The studios HBO Warner Brothers want, but HBO can't afford it, so they're going to sell Max to Netflix, with a deal to then basically produce for Netflix, but we'll have Netflix and then Netflix Max. And the guy that I spoke to says he doesn't know this for certain because he thinks that's why HBO have already changed the name to Max. I think that's why they did it. Because everybody went, why on earth have they done that?
Because it's god awful name.
And it's because it will be Netflix for like $10 or Netflix Max for like $15. And so, and they will then, Warner Brothers will basically use that money to buy the studio space, which they want. Part of that deal to buy the studio space will then be producing stuff for Netflix and NBC, because NBC won't have any studios anymore. So Star Trek will be made at Paramount still, but it'll be owned by Warner Brothers, which is owned by NBC under the umbrella of Star Trek Studios, which in some ways will still be a separate entity so that they can do the movies, which they technically won't own the rights to. Another reason apparently why Star Trek 4 isn't going ahead, because Paramount owns the movie rights to Star Trek, but NBC own, even though they're the same company, they merged, NBC own the rights to the TV shows, but they can do streaming movies. So that's why Star Trek, we're going to be getting streaming movies and not cinema movies, because they might not own it in 12 months. It's mad. This guy's explained it to me, and I've got, where is it? I've got 2 pages of notes.
I don't know how you just explained all of that like in a go. This is what you just been explaining to me.
2 pages of notes. Yeah. Oh, it's mad. I'll try to sort of do it in a way in a video that makes sense. But he did say that, this guy's saying to me, he goes, he can't see how it's going to work. It's so many plates spinning. He just says it's the most convoluted, complicated idea he's ever heard of.
I feel like I was with you for the first half minute, and I was really trying, but like it's 4 main wheels spinning, and each one have their own little gears somewhere, and some of them it's like a weird Venn diagram that's like.
But this is what I've been, Warner Brothers though, I've been talking about this with Warner Brothers for a while. Their sort of long-term business plan is to stop putting stuff. They don't want to put stuff on screen themselves. They want to make it for other people. So and they've been talking about this.
They started doing it with Netflix for Sandman and Sweet Tooth and stuff like that. The Amazon Batman show, that animated Batman show that just got the trailer released.
2/3 of the shows on Apple are made by Warner Brothers. It's just like I might be over-exaggerating 2/3, but a lot.
Are the M Night ones there? I don't know.
Sorry, but I know the football TV show again, and my brain's not working very well.
You just fried yourself.
I find myself going on a rant. But that was made by Warner. There's several things on Apple. If you start looking for it, you can see Warner Brothers TV shows all over the place. But that's their long-term goal, because it's low risk.
Mm-hmm.
You just make it. You don't care if it does well or not. So it's lowering their risk. And at the moment, because of their debt, they can't afford many failures. They can't afford to spend 400 million quid on a movie that bombs. They can't afford it.
That's the one kind of like sleeper studio right now, which people just kind of like it's people say it and you're like, oh yeah, duh, and then but you don't think about it as Sony all the time. We literally just started the stream with Sony, but they don't have their own service or anything like that, and they haven't been crippling themselves with streaming debt for the past 6 years, like almost every other major studio. So that makes perfect sense.
Again, they bought Culver City off MGM, made it into Amazon Studios. Not Culver, sorry, Culver's Amazon. Century City.
It's
called Sony Studios now, but it used to be. Is it Culver? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's Sony Studios now.
Okay.
They make stuff for they make stuff for everybody, don't they? They make stuff that goes on HBO. They make movies. They make animation. Isn't the animation just shut down though? I think they've just closed the animation, haven't So yeah, that's how they've been doing it. It looks like Warner Brothers are basically looking at it going, they will still produce stuff for themselves because they'll still have HBO cable, as my understanding. They're just getting out the streaming game. I think there's a foreseeable crash in the streaming world coming. The bubble is about to burst.
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
Warner
streaming's
Brothers
essentially it's turned into individualized cable. It's instead of just cable packages, you're just buying individual cable services at this point.
Yeah, and people are returning to cable in a lot of times because cable is. I know in America is trying to be a bit more competitive with its prices and things. And
well, I mean,
this
there's
is
Spectrum
more reliable.
Wi-Fi that you can get cable and Wi-Fi and a phone bill. Sometimes it's just easy to put it all together and for a cheaper price.
Yeah, and it's more reliable. I mean, how often you're on your Wi-Fi and it just drops out and you're like, oh, stop pausing. Oh, fuck's sake.
Oh my god.
So there are there's a mix to both. You want a bit of both, but there has been an overinflation. It's the massive white elephant of the last 10 years that everyone's been trying to keep up with Netflix, and now there's been a realization you can't. It's not possible. So they were first, and they do it better.
Do you think they just managed that because they got ahead of the game, like that far ahead of time? Because
I think
their models just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, and it's a lot more sticks than people ever thought it would.
Because the thing is, though, that's one of the reasons why they're so secretive about their numbers, because they don't like to admit when someone's bombed. So they just pretend it hasn't.
And they just cancel it.
As far as they're concerned, nothing's ever failed. They'll cancel it. But I mean, everyone cancels stuff. I did that video last week talking about the 3 series that I gutted. That were cancelled. They were all made by Fox, all of them. And then I forgot A Space Above and Beyond, which is one of my favorite shows ever, cancelled after 1 season. That was Fox as well.
I was shocked.
Yeah, cable shows cancel just as much as Netflix.
I mean, that's before you even get into just comes to mind Joe Flanagan talking about on the Shuttlepod show all the pilot season stuff. You know how many pilots they filmed? They know how much money's spent out here that just never sees the light of day. It's just like, yeah.
At least Netflix will show it. They'll show it. They'll almost put up going, this is crap. Enjoy. And people will watch it at some point because you get the thing, I've never seen that before. The amount of stuff, though, I put on my list and I never watch on Netflix. I never get around to it. And then it disappears, doesn't it? And something else comes on. I'll watch that instead.
I put something on my list last night. I literally had that thought. I was just worried that I'm never going to get around to watching it. And now I can't even think what I put on there. Which is like the epitome of add to my list, you know?
It's never going to happen.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things getting canceled and sold and shopped around, we will work our way back into that by the end of everything. But let's finish talking about multiverses right now, because Marvel just dropped What If Season 2 trailer. Did you have a chance to watch that one?
I did indeed.
Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did it throw you off? Did it confuse you as much or more than the Madam Web trailer?
Right. I found it a little confusing, but I don't know the history as much as other people.
I
did
you see season 1?
Sorry?
You saw season 1?
I didn't love season 1 as much as other people. I found it a little boring. It's good, beautifully acted, had some good scenes in it, but a bit slow. But I think that's because I wasn't coming at it with the history sort of thing that other people loved. You know, I didn't get all the little Easter eggs. I didn't get all the subtle things because I didn't follow it before. So, what did you think?
Well, the first episode. When it came out, I was really excited for it. I love animated stuff, and it felt like Marvel was trying to do like their Clone Wars, but multiversal. And I'm like, I'm in for it. This is the beginning of all the multiverse stuff. I'm down. I hated the first one. The Captain, it's not Captain Britain. What does she call herself?
No, it is Captain Britain.
Is she Captain Britain in there? Is that what she says?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, no, she's Captain Carter. That's right. Because
Captain Carter.
Captain Britain's a whole different character. I knew that didn't sound right. I just couldn't get it for a second. I love the character. I thought Haley Atwell did great when she did her in Multiverse of Madness for the little bit she was in there. She was one of those better moments of it.
And she's
I
fit.
did not like the episode. I liked the concepts of the episode, but I hated how it just did. It felt lazy in the way it felt like it was just a different rendition of First Avenger, almost T for T in a lot of ways.
Actually watched them all. I might.
All the others I enjoyed. The first one.
The zombie one, I thought it was a bit stupid.
But, I like the zombies. But...
It never quite ticked for me. But because, like I said, because I didn't watch, I've never read the What If comics. I don't think I followed it as much. I've read other comics. That one never gone to me. So I said I didn't get it. If you know what I mean, it didn't.
Yeah, I never read the comics either. I just kind of, I guess, went in conceptually. But the zombies, I'm a zombie nerd. Matt might be watching The Walking Dead right now, but I love me Walking Dead.
What if Jay and Harris suddenly switch places? I want Harris's hair.
Come on. Look, I got one of those, I don't know what they're called, but it's a different way of doing. I didn't have to use a hair tie. I did the whole like poke it and twist it and then poke it again. I don't know what to call it. But
I've never had to use a hair tie in my life.
Me either. This is the first time I've ever done that kind of stuff. I'm happy.
What you do is at 18, you get a job where they make you cut it off. That's what you do.
Yeah. No, I went to a school growing up. I could never have it past, I think, the middle of your ear. And then at a certain point, my hair, we'll get off topic. We'll get right back on. But growing up, no matter what I did, my parents were always like, "We love your hair, yada yada." But as a kid, it was awful because no matter what I did, it just naturally went back into a bowl cut, and it was just god awful. So at one point, I think I was in middle school, I just shaved my head, and it just went straight down into a bowl cut. Before it did the exact opposite, and I ended up getting a white person afro. I looked like a chia pet most of the time. And then military.
I started cutting my own hair when I was about 12 and never went back.
Yeah, so, I don't trust my own senses well enough for that.
I've got quite good at it over the years. I've only got one style, and basically this, but I can blend okay just by touch. I don't even need a mirror. I can just do by touch.
Give us a. We need you faded completely on one side. Well, can we have a Jay barbershop video like we had the Jay make a sandwich video?
Yeah, maybe I might. Yeah, I'll do a video of me doing my hair.
Ponytail. I used to be the same, but then I like them.
I walked into training once drunk. I'd have a nice time the night before, and I was still drunk in the morning. I realized I didn't realize until I sat down after I did what I did, and then I realized, oh crap, I think I'm still drunk. But I walked in, and the guy was completely bald on top, but he had a ponytail. So I walked in, tugged his ponytail, and just went, no, and sat down like I'd done nothing wrong. And somebody's like, what the hell did you just do? And I was like, oh, I'm still drunk. Like, oh, God. And it was a training day, so I was there all day. And by lunchtime, I was so hungover. But that one, and the guy just looked at me like, what was that? So I think the whole day, this guy, he was the trainer, he was the teacher.
No.
Yeah. And that's why I walked past him, because he was stood at the front. I was obviously late because. So I walked past him. He was stood at the front talking to everybody. So everybody saw me do it as well. It was the most mortifying moment of my life. And I just sort of looked. No, sat down.
Oh God!
I was so drunk. It was bad. I actually feel a bit embarrassed just telling the story.
That's what happens when they wake you up that early, though. You know, training should be mid-morning.
Yeah, I'm thinking like mid-afternoon.
You know,
I kept having to pinch my hand because I kept falling asleep. So my hand was a big bruise by the end of the day. I was having to like twist it so I could keep myself awake. It's awful. I could get away with it on a hook. I was on a video with the shuttle pod guys, and Trip, the Dominic Trenier, took one look, saw me like that, and went, "Oh, he's got a mohawk."
Well, while they were in Vegas, right? Yeah.
No,
I mean,
you didn't know I could hear him.
Mohawk for Halloween
Yeah.
next year. That'd just
Yeah.
pass. You
I'll
lucked
do a
out.
Mohawk when I go to San Diego Comic Con.
Hey, there we go. I'll do a top knot then. I don't know how to do all that.
I will have to punch you in the face if you do a top knot.
I don't know if I have enough hair for that. Don't you tie it up with your own hair?
Yeah, you just.
I'd have a very small top knot.
I will spend the whole week calling you Mr. Majika, which is a reference you won't get, and because it was a British show, and just laughing at you. And girls will probably love it, but I will laugh at you. And
I'll do Bollywood dances the entire week with my top knot. It'll be great. But Marvel's What If, to get back on our multiversal thing, it was I don't know. I liked the trailer. I thought it was pretty good. It was kind of weird. The thing that threw me off the most was the Watcher saying, "I don't usually do sequels," and it's just that aspect of things throws me off because I don't like the whole meta aspect of what She-Hulk chose to do by the end. And I hope what they did in season 1, it was just fine. I hope they don't do too much there because, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't even want to start thinking about She-Hulk, but Kevin and She-Hulk at the end, couldn't he just be like or the machine, whatever the hell it is, just be a machine for the Celestials? Because the Celestials, if they made the universe, they probably made the multiverse. The Watcher is probably someone that works for the Celestials, and I'm thinking, do we start tying in the Eternals, I guess, to some of this? Because it didn't necessarily look
like the Eternals again.
I mean, there is a giant one in the middle of the ocean somewhere, so we have to.
Yeah.
When and where and how?
Peter Morris just said Jay chooses violence. You should always choose violence. If there's a choice between a peaceful resolution and violence, always choose violence. My dad taught me that. When he's being dragged off by the police, he shouted back to me like, "Always go with violence, son." As he's being dragged off by the police, and that lesson stuck with me.
It seems like a very British lesson.
Yeah, always choose violence. Beer and violence, basically, you can't go that wrong. I mean,
one of my favorite quotes I've ever been given or been told was, "There's nothing a little brute force and stupidity can't handle."
Yeah, brute force and ignorance. Brute force and ignorance. We built an empire on brute force, ignorance, and beer. We built it. We controlled a quarter of the planet at one point from Britain through brute force and ignorance.
And just because you wanted some more spices on your table.
Yeah, exactly. If when you've got no skill or no talent, use brute force and ignorance. You can't go wrong. I didn't hate it.
I did not like it whenever I first saw it, but it grows on me more and more every time I think about it. I'm not the biggest fan of Chloe Zhao as a filmmaker. I think she's a great cinematographer, but her films lack narrative and story. It's for style and the substance and visual kind of arts instead. Kind of the different trade-off there, but it does grow on me. I really don't like what they did with their villains at the end. But it would be cool to see it tie into What If.
Yeah, it was kind of stupid. They shouldn't have done it on the Earth. It was a bit too much. But yeah, I thought they tried to do too much with that film. It might have been better if they'd have. Yeah, it has been rumored a couple of times now, but it's going to be difficult. They haven't followed up with it yet. Anyway, they opened up a lot of doors for the Eternals that they've not followed up on yet. So we'll have
big doors that everyone have been clamoring about since. Especially, is it Tiamat? I think, or something like that. Is the big old head of the Eternal?
Yeah,
nothing.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, we've got all the X-Men stuff coming, and that's took forever. We've been waiting 5 years for the X-Men to hit Marvel. Oh, yeah. We've still got all the Kang stuff to do. When are they going back with the Eternals? And because remember, they've slowed 3 years ago, the plan was to have 3 movies a year. They've scrapped that. So it's going to be right down to maybe 2.
Next year, there's only one right now. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're getting on something, but
So it's all slowed right down because they've realised they were doing too much, and they were going to burn out. So I'm not sure we're going to see the Eternals, but we'll see.
it sucks because there's so many. What they have so many different storylines in different places that there is just too much going on. Would you think a way of maybe handling that would be like maybe one movie per? That's still like 4 movies a year though. If they have 4 different things going on, maybe every other year you have one movie per like. This is going to be Marvel in the cosmic place. This is Marvel on Earth, grounded, doing Marvel stuff. This is mutant Marvel stuff, and maybe this is Marvel stuff with the blades. Maybe Marvel Spotlight, and that can be kind of like your harder R kind of Marvel where they're doing too much and too little quality. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, what's happened right now is they've slammed the brakes on. About 18 months ago, they slammed the brakes on. And I'm told Kevin Feige had let the reins loose a bit, and he's very aware of this in meetings with I've forgotten the Disney guy when he came back in. I've forgotten his name. Iger.
Yeah.
When Iger came back in, they basically Feige said, "Look, I've been letting the children play. We've got these very talented people, and they've been running amok. And the example I was Love and Thunder was the perfect example. So you got Ragnarok, where we had a very talented movie maker, but we controlled him. We put other people in shoes. Kevin Feige watched over it. We had a great movie. We then just let him do whatever he wanted with Love and Thunder, and it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And Taika Waititi is now not coming back for another Thor movie. So there is going to be another Thor, but it won't be Taika Waititi because he royally pooped the scoop on that one. But Kevin Feige, apparently, from what I'm told, he put his hands up and went, "This is my fault. I've let this get away from me," sort of thing, and he's pulled the reins in. But the only way to do that, because it got so big, was to slam the brakes on.
Yeah, I worry for the shows too because Sci-Fi was saying there might only be one movie scheduled for next year, but there are half a dozen shows, and we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. It's not the best time for most things Disney, honestly, but it's not so far. Which is just weird to be talking about it the way we are. It's not so far gone that they can't come back from anything in any of their different IPs anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the main reason. And I think the reason why we're seeing series is because when you get so far in a series, you've basically got 12 months and it's going to be on your screen.
Mm-hmm.
With a movie, you can slam the brakes on a bit easier, sort of thing, and slow things down because they take so much longer. So slowing things down there. So I think that we've just not seen the reaction of the hitting the brakes with the TV series yet. After next year, we will. We'll see it slow down. So we're seeing the TV shows that had gone into pre-production just as Igor came in. Igor? As the brakes were starting on.
It works, honestly. That's what it feels like sometimes.
As Igor, it's Igor now from now on. But just as he came in, the brakes were slammed on, but those TV shows were already way down the line. So, I mean, you can look at what they've done with like Daredevil. They've started that. And again, my understanding is Kevin Feige looked at what they were doing and just went, "No, this has gone the wrong way." And again, it was because it was a little bit too much like She-Hulk. There was too much influence, and they just went, "No." Everyone hated it. They don't want the fourth wall stuff, not to that extent. And it wasn't just that it was disliked; it was hated by a lot of fans. The core Marvel fans hated it.
And I mean, I haven't seen anybody make videos about it or anything. It might be an interesting video to make, though. Huh? Anybody looking for an idea? She-Hulk directly, like people watched Book of Boba Fett and people watched Obi-Wan Kenobi. Nobody, as amazing as it was, so few people watched Andor because of that. So few people watched Ahsoka as it came out because of that. so few people watch Mando season 3 because of that, and there's obviously a quality decline in all this as well. But Marvel's kind of done the same thing, and I think She-Hulk, where it could have bolstered the audience it was looking for the Marvels, it didn't help their case at all, and that audience was not bolstered. It was thrown aside and scared away a little bit.
I mean, I don't know how you felt, but watching She-Hulk as a comic book fan, as a Marvel fan, I felt Marvel were taking the piss out of me.
I felt
thought they were
weird.
basically going, "You're a fucking idiot." They were basically like, "You're an idiot. You like this shit," and that's generally what the show felt like. Like the moral of the story is, liking comic books is stupid, and that's
It's like you're telling this to the fan base that has been paying you consistently for the past 10 years to go see your product. Like, it just didn't feel right. And I don't know that I defended Marvels on Sunday on the Sidetrack stream, and
I liked it. It's not bad film. It's
not awful.
The problem is Captain Marvel is too overpowered. She's too powerful. The film should just be, there's a problem, and Captain Marvel punches it in the face, and that's done.
Yeah. The writing moments of it weren't good. I feel like all the acting was just fine, honestly. From
there's a reason why Captain Marvel isn't in Endgame. They had to keep her away. Right?
Well, where is it?
The character doesn't make sense. Oh, that's just stupid.
Oh, so you can, and now we have Kira or whatever, not Kira, because that's Emilia Clarke's Star Wars name. I can't even think of the name from the scroll, but she's Captain Marvel on Earth.
Oh, it's just don't give up on Secret Invasion. Just watch the last episode, just to underline how bad television can be. It was awful, and just a 5-year-old, I think, would be going, I'm not sure that's how DNA works, because it was just stupid. I'm not sure that's how blood works.
My 2-year-old niece has watched Puppy Patrol or Paw Patrol or whatever it is enough to understand that that's not how DNA works. I'm pretty sure they have episodes where like they're picking stuff up from the street.
Just stupid.
I'd rather watch Paw Patrol than Secret Invasion at this point, which is not a good thing to say.
It's just rubbish. But then Loki season 2 was great. I really enjoyed it.
Great, and that's good multiverse stuff. So I'm hoping that. Do you think that will tie into What If season 2 at all?
The first season touched on lots of things, didn't it? I thought the first season was going to lead us into the next phase. And
I thought it was going to lead us into Multiverse of Madness. I almost thought that last Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness should have been the one from What If.
Yeah, and I assumed we were going to see the Watcher, and again we haven't. We kind of have, haven't we? But not really. So
a little bit, and that's about.
I think we sort of got a hint of him in the last Spider-Man, didn't we? I think when everything was collapsing, didn't it? Wasn't he sort of?
There was something, right?
There's something there which we thought, oh, is that the Watcher? But I'd have thought, but that again, being that powerful, that's the sort of thing. Like in Star Trek, there's an ongoing joke at the moment with Lower Decks that one of the characters went through to he basically ascended and saw all the time in existence, and he saw a spiritual koala that's at the center of all of the universe. So this has been a koala bear. So that joke has been running now ever since. That every so often something ridiculous will happen, and in the background you'll see an outline of a koala, but they don't point it out or whatever. This is really subtle. So I mean, I always thought that the Watcher should have been something like that. It's too powerful to like have too much, isn't it? It needs to be in the background, sort of thing. Actually, wasn't it the koala? Wasn't it the koala? Wasn't it the Watcher, or was it? At the end of Love and Thunder, what was that being? Was it?
That was.
I've tried to delete a lot of that from my memory. That film.
It's the reason love ends up living.
Yeah, it is a god, isn't it? Is it the final god or something? I don't know.
Well, it's the old it's not the Beyonder. It's the one Eternity. There we go. Thank you, John. I knew it was like a very specific word. I was looking for Beyonder, but it's Eternity.
Very similar to the Watcher, wasn't it, with the design and the stars and
yeah. And who knows? They're probably not necessarily related, but they could be acquaintances at work or something. They both work for the Celestials.
Hello, work. Sorry, I'm yawning now. You're not boring, obviously. It's been a long day.
While we're still kicking, and before we hit the old hour mark, because we kind of been hanging out and just talking about 2 of the first 15 to 20 subjects we're talking about.
Yeah. We always do this.
We might have
2 is going to be 2026, I think, if memory serves.
That's the one that I feel like Eternals 2 needs to come and has to be. It just the things that were introduced have to be talked about and answered at a certain point. But Shang-Chi's the one that all of us want to have a second.
Yeah, I loved Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah,
great. The end got a bit silly, but it was Chinese mythology. It had to sort of get a bit silly. But it was great. Loved it.
Do we know if because Jeff Loveness is officially off of Kang Dynasty, and they said they're probably reworking Kang Dynasty, and it's not going to be centered around Kang anymore. Is it still because Daniel Destin Creighton, the guy that was directing Shang-Chi, was supposed to do Kang Dynasty? Do we? Is he still tapped on for that? I haven't heard any news about that. I don't
think they've decided yet. I think that's the thing. I think, like I said in the video a couple of days ago, again they reworked the end of Loki purposefully to give them options. So they could go a different way if they need to.
That Doctor Doom.
Well, yeah, or use a CGI. Because remember, in a more comic booky version of Kang, like we saw briefly in Quantumania, they could do that without the actor, pretty much. Depending on what his contract is like.
Did he sign over his likeness before the strike or after the strike?
Well, he still can now, thanks to Disney.
Yeah.
So they had nearly 20% of no votes, and all of them was because they said we shouldn't be allowing any AI. The 20% were very sensible.
Oh yeah. I think Greg said he expects it to last till December.
Yeah. Well, the actors don't vote against it because I want Stargate to get announced. So don't vote against it. But the actors union has opened the door enough on Disney that they're laughing all the way.
It's classic. Give an inch, take a mile, and it's sad. It does because I want to work for Disney, but I also don't want to work for Disney now. But I do want to work for Disney. But
no, it's business though. Got to remember all these things. They screw people over. Like Netflix as well. You can't really blame a company for wanting to protect its profits.
No,
if you were in charge of Netflix, you'd be doing exactly the same thing. It's like having a go at somebody for like legally trying to avoid tax. So you've got tax evasion or tax avoidance. Yeah. Tax evasion is illegal. Tax avoidance is perfectly legal. It's just like finding ways not to spend too much money on tax. We'd all do it. I don't want to pay tax. If I could get away with it, I would. And businesses, they just want to protect their profits. You can't bitch at a company for wanting to protect its profits.
You can't. And at the same time, whether you're a SAG actor or not, you still have an individual contract, and the things that you can write those things that you want to protect yourself into that and kind of make that your line in the sand kind of deal. So it's
yeah. I think there's enough protection in there that as long as SAG-AFTRA does its job and protects its members, it should be okay.
Aye.
But they're going to use AI more to save money in places, and it is going to mean there's going to be less acting work. And forget reshoots. Within 10 years, they won't have barely any reshoots on movies unless they absolutely have to.
Which, coming from a studio perspective, I love, but also that's like that cuts down an actor's paycheck a lot too. That's time on set. It's a lot of work.
And a lot of the time, it's not the main actor. A lot of the time, when they do reshoots and things, they'll do things like Well, I tell you what, they're going to do the new Michelle Yeoh movie with Star Trek again.
Yeah.
And they've already figured out, because she's so busy, they're going to figure that it'll be figured out in a way that she only needs to be on set 1 in 8 days. So when they're filming 1 in 8 days, there's going to be a double, and they will do all of the scenes basically where you can't see it's Michelle Yeoh. It'll just be the back of her head, but it won't be Michelle Yeoh. It'll be a double. They'll do all the scenes, and then they'll basically just Michelle Yeoh will come in and just do all the reaction stuff. So she's basically going to have to work 1 in 7 or 8 days that they're shooting.
Makes sense. It's kind of what they did for Endgame and Infinity War.
Exactly. And it's how they're doing a lot of reshoots. The main expensive actor will come in, but then a lot of the other stuff is done by other actors, and they're actors that's their entire career. That's what they do. And those jobs are going. But it's the way of industry, isn't it? Jobs change, and there will be other jobs. If you're if you're an actor at the moment, you might want to train to be a computer engineer, because there's good money in that.
Yeah, I'm not tech savvy. That's I'm gonna have to go a different route. Good thing I like cooking. That always has something. But yeah, no, it's funky.
There's so many ifs, buts, and maybes in the way that contract works. I say I don't understand most of it. It reads like video instructions to me. I can't understand most of it. But the legal guy that I get to speak to quite a bit, he says that this is wide open. He says he's waiting to see the full version. He's seen a bit more than we have, but not all of it yet. And he says that this can't be this open, because SAG-AFTRA have completely screwed up if it is. There's so many if, buts, and maybes. It's a joke. They've said the one guy I speak to is talking to an agent, and they're currently hiring legal people just to manage basically AI payments, because they said it's so complicated. They're going to have a specialist team just to review and do it.
Yeah. Well, I guess with to top that off, to the cherry on top, we can talk about next week on Wednesday. We will have our trilogy of Greg and Sag coming to an end. Greg will have all the details. The details have been released, but that gives him some time to think about it. He was going to come on today, but ended up having a couple meetings, so that gives him a little more time to talk about it in a more in-depth kind of way, and gives us time to analyze it a little bit more in depth. So next week, we got some extra goodness coming to you, but it might not necessarily be goodness for everybody, especially for my future. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I think
there'll always be actors, mate. They will not use AI to replace actors. They will just use AI to make savings.
But the question is everybody that's known for acting already known? Are they just going to hire people to put old people's faces on from now on?
There'll be a bit of that. There will be a bit of that. There will be a bit of making Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in 2050.
Yeah.
That'll happen. But that happens now already, really.
Yeah, that's true.
And it'll be better. It'll be better. But that'll be. It's like how now, right? We've got animated movies with CGI, but they still make the odd, like, sort of traditional cartoon that looks like a cartoon still. They can make CGI look almost realistic, but to be honest, when they do it, it bombs. If you think of like Titan AE or that sort of thing, it doesn't tend to do very well. Because if you want to watch a cartoon, you want it to be a cartoon. CGI in movies will add to it. It won't. It's. I'm hoping anyway. For the love of God, I hope it'll be a tool to improve. It's just the next generation of AI. Of CGI. It's just better. I don't see them spending and animating a movie that's a cartoon technically, but looks like a live action movie, because it would be massively expensive, and I don't think people will like it.
In-game.
No, because again, that was live action, but I know it was 90% of it was digital.
It's not the exact same thing. It's just that's the first thing that comes to mind to like devil's advocate a little bit. Yeah,
it's using that CGI, there, isn't it? But I do like how they've built it into the contract to basically say that if an actor's CGI or AI version is used, you have to be paid as an actor still. So if you If you're an actor and you're in, I use Spider-Man as the example. So if you're an actor and you're in Spider-Man, and half of the movie is you swinging around it, but it's actually your AI version, they have to try to figure out how many days should you have been filming if you'd have actually done it. So it's a 90-day film. 2/3 of it is CGI. You only actually work for 30. They have to pay you for 90.
Oh, cool.
It's a good way of getting around it. The only problem with it is you have to have the studio acting in good faith, which is basically a legal term to fuzz things up a little bit and make it very difficult to judge. You're basically trusting the studio to estimate it. And at the end of the day, they're going to lowball you. They just are. This might take 40 to 60 days. Well, we're paying him for 40 then, clearly.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite sayings, I got I got way more than half a dozen. I got dozens upon dozens of sayings. One of my favorites ever, though, it works in any industry, but particularly for film and people in the film industry, is you're not worth what you're worth. You're worth what you negotiate. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Just made me think of it. But think about all this. Shall we jump into a week of geek? Netflix's GeekedWeek.
Yeah, this is
the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different trailers that we have to discuss here. There are like literally half of them. I think 6 of them. What we can kind of skip by. I think there are 6 main ones that we should
focus on the important ones.
Yeah. So
I might not off.
All right. Well, let's skim over these real quick. If you want to talk about any of these are the ones that I guess caught my interest, but weren't the ones that I think are the meat of the things that obviously the sci-fi fantasy people that we like to talk to are probably thinking about. First was Orion in the Dark, which looked pretty cool. That was an animated one, and it's kind of a kid's film, but it wasn't DreamWorks, I don't think. It might have been DreamWorks, I think. It was DreamWorks because it's the same people that make Bad Guys, and I like the Bad Guys. So I'm hoping that's good competition for Pixar and Disney.
I skipped over this.
My Damon.
No.
Did you see My Damon or My Demon? Not Damon. I just see that.
I watched 2 seconds of it and couldn't be bothered.
See, I thought it was His Dark Materials / Golden Compass stuff at first. So I was like, ooh, here we go. But it did look fun. It looked like TV, not TV 14, but it looked like a little bit more goth, adult-oriented, young adult, but adult-oriented Pokemon. Kind of fun. Ultraman Rising, pretty fun.
I think that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Is that South Korea?
I believe it was.
It's one of the South Korea projects, isn't it? I think. Somebody in the things will correct me if I'm wrong. But I liked Ultraman. I liked Ultraman when I was a kid. So
it's cool. And it made me think of, I still really want to watch Pluto on Netflix right now. That's my next thing I want to watch for after Blue Eye Samurai, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There's a few. But then Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. We finally get a sequel to Chicken Run. I'm pumped.
I love Chicken Run.
It's so good. And they're going to have some good. You know what? That's actually good. They're kind of more Digimon-like than Pokemon. I don't even think about that. My demon. I always say Damon. House of Cards. Oops. Not House of Cards. House of the Dragon. There's so many things. Anyway, Scott Pilgrim looks pretty damn good. That comes out this weekend. I'm pretty excited.
Animation, though. I can't really be bothered with a lot of animation, I have to admit, man. I struggle with animation a little bit.
It's anime, though, for this one, which is still animation. I don't know. I enjoy it.
I try and watch it, but even when it's good, sorry, my head is really itchy. Even when it's good, I tend to could be watching something else. When animation is good, it's brilliant, but when it's bad, it's bad. And then
I agree, but we've gotten a lot of good IP anime. Did you like the Witcher anime that came out?
No, hated it. Tried to watch it, hated it.
Really?
And then there's like Wolfenstein. They did a couple of years ago. That was awful as well. I was so looking forward to it. It was awful. It's really slow and like 1980s cartoon, and it's just like it's like watching that He-Man thing that Kevin Smith did.
Yeah, that one's iffy.
I mean, I
live action.
I kind of loved it because it was Kevin Smith still, but it was a Tila series. I'm like, where's He-Man? But it tried to do it in a style of the original cartoon, and I did appreciate it. I didn't enjoy it, but I appreciated it. I appreciate what he was trying to do.
That makes sense. I love Kevin Smith. He doesn't do it right all the time, but when
His
he hits
career's
it,
gone.
he hits it well. Yeah.
He did some amazing stuff early on. He should just focus on like doing his talks now. He should stop making TV.
Yeah, no. Yesterday I was doing some work just at the table, and I just had something on in the background, and it was one of those like ambiance or whatever, like just like Hogwarts or Lord of the Rings music or whatever the hell. And it kind of timed out or whatever, and then it went into, I guess it was Kevin Smith was just live on the Fat Man Beyond podcast, and I haven't listened to that in a decade, and that was it was funny to see him. I love it. But the last one of the simple trailers that we're just going over, I know our very own Sci-Fi Quest, Mr. Melvin himself, is excited for this one. Is the Terminator anime?
No, I will watch that.
Okay, I was about to say that one might actually get you a little bit.
And I can see, particularly if it's done anime, brutal, and it's proper, and it is brutal. That could be really, really good. You almost want somebody to make it, not knowing it's a Terminator series. And by that I mean, like, forget the franchise, forget that it's a big franchise. Pretend this is just, an anime cartoon sort of thing, and that no one cares, and just go for it and do what fits the story. Because what I'm trying to say is, as soon as an executive goes, yes, but this is a Terminator movie, we need to, it needs to appeal to a wide audience. And I'm like, no, brutal as fuck sort of thing. That's what we want.
It's great. It's a post-apocalyptic thing that is like literal murderous robots coming back in time to start an apocalypse. There's nothing more hard rated R than that. Lean into it.
Exactly. But if they try to do a Warner Brothers cartoon like the Batmans, to be honest, and I love the Batman movies they've done in the last few years, but they're all done just with one hand tied behind the back sort of thing. If they do it, if this is one hand tied behind the back trying to appeal to a wider audience, it'll be terrible. You need it to be done by
Netflix is willing to do.
I think they're willing. They know their audience, but they need to come out fighting, and like I say, to be made by people that don't care what people are going to say about it. But I think shows like The Boys have sort of given a lot of studios the bravery to actually go, you know what? Okay, every show can't be like this, but we can get away with some.
And we can play around. I think that's the reason Echo was made the way it was made. Generally, they wouldn't have done that if it weren't. All right, well, maybe we can lean into it. And then animated wise, Invincible was the cherry on top for Amazon and The Boys. Like Amazon was like, you can do this. Oh, but then you can definitely do this too. And
there's an element like you can't do it too much. You've got to do a mix, because it loses the shock factor if you do it too much. You've got to know when to pull back a little bit.
And it has to have good story too. That's one of the things people forget about The Boys is The Boys is great story. Like
there's a core to that that's realistic as well. I love that idea, and it's been done a couple of times, not just by The Boys, not original by any stretch, but I like the idea of a superhero. If that was actually real, how many of us would be Superman, or how many of us would actually be complete dicks?
How many of us would be Huey and accidentally get this thing or get a power for a minute, turn invisible, and just be invisible? He teleports and ends up having to be naked every time he teleports. Yep. Like it's great. It's awful, but it's great. I think that'd be the average Joe.
I just seen Peter's reference there. My only issue with The Boys is, you know what I'm saying about the pulling back? They seem to be constantly trying to shock us. And the problem with that is you start having 20-foot long penises and a tiny little man running up down the urethra. It's too much. And they need to know when to pull it. It's like those monster movies where you don't see the monster until the very end, and they build up to it, sort of thing. There's none of that with The Boys anymore. It's constantly trying to shove a firecracker up our ass, and it's like I think they go too far sometimes.
I disagree, but just because of the comics. Like the comics they are everything they put on screen is holding back. It's holding back a lot. So
I know that you can't do it in live action. I know that, but I mean, even the show I think goes too far sometimes. But it's like the show Spartacus back in the day on Stars. I love.
Yeah, that's actually a great example.
always went too far. And I'm there. I'm watching Julius Caesar bending over and raping another man.
Well, like Game of Thrones, whenever they ended up raping Sansa, like that's like, hey, that's not in any books anywhere. Who thought of this was a good idea? Kind of like you don't need to go that far.
Yeah, I would have gone. Yeah, they probably did go too far in a few places with that. But I mean, Game of Thrones always knew to. There was a formula to Game of Thrones, and they always built up to the big shock moment. Whereas I do think sometimes the boys and Gen X, I can't get into that.
I love it.
It just seemed to it started too big, sort of thing, and it's got nowhere to go. You need to build up to these things, and it started up here, and then it's like, well, where do you go now?
Gen Z, I get you on that, but it ended with like bombast. Like, I didn't love the way it ended. The episode before it, I think, is the way it should have ended because it did all that. And it wasn't so explosive or anything like that. It was very explosive in one very minor way. And I can't tell you because you have to go watch Gen V before you watch The Boys season 4. It ties into each other. Like they're hopping off each other now. But the episode I'm talking about will be your favorite episode by far because it does that in the sense like it starts off that big and it decides the penultimate episode to go into almost in an episode of like not therapy, but you're just sitting there talking to people. It's not actual. It's not the right thing to say. It's not therapy. There's nothing therapeutic about The Boys or Gen V, but it's characters sitting down and just having discussions more so in the 7th episode. But those discussions just blow your mind, and my
problem with Gen V. As soon as they had menstrual blood kills parents, I'm like, I'm out. It's like, nah, it's too much for me.
I get it.
My problem with The Boys is it's maybe it's not reinventing itself very well. It's still the same show, and like I think that example of it started up here.
Yeah,
it's got nowhere to go, and I know what you're saying about the comics were way worse, and the old thing in the. What was it, Orgasmatron or whatever it's called? I forget what it's called.
Herogasm. Orgasmatron. That probably was at Herogasm, but
Orgasmatron is in. It was a weapon in a Jane Silent Bob movie as well. I'm getting that, but the Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. But that whole thing was way worse in the comics. Way more graphic. And I loved season 3 on the whole. I thought the whole guy from, I do know his name and his gun again. The guy from not Winchester, the original show, Supernatural. His character was just phenomenal. The old man superhero. Captain America version, but he wasn't Captain America. But you know what I mean. I got a shield. Doesn't matter. But it's less like. It just went too high and it's got nowhere to go. So I started to get a bit bored of series 3. I started to get a bit doing this again.
Soldier Boy. Okay, that was going to kill me.
Boy.
I almost had an aneurysm right there.
Soldier Boy. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see. I might get back into it. Series 10 to sort of wane around series 3 and then pick up again. It's not uncommon, is it? So.
Yeah. No. I see what you're saying. I'm enjoying it, but I don't think it could. Where the first season was just straight up shock value, just for nobody had ever seen anything like that before. We've gotten used to it at this point, so it's not piquing that same interest it was per se. It's not necessarily not piquing that same interest because it does every time it comes out, but it's not intriguing people the same way. And now it's just kind of like, oh, we're doing that again, and we're doing it bigger and crazier, and it's kind of now it's getting to people, I guess, a little bit.
I suppose it was the same a little bit with Game of Thrones because they just they shocked us so many times they didn't have anywhere to take it after that. You know, the episode where Thingy from Among Us got his head crushed by the mountain.
Oh yeah,
it was sort of like that was like. I mean, the Red Wedding was bad enough. The Red Wedding was sort of like, I'm like, what the fuck just happened? You know, And then so in the final season there wasn't that moment. I think that's one of the reasons why it disappointed people so much, because it just sort of ended. I have dark humor. I work in the NHS. I've worked in publicity, and I think dark humor in those sort of jobs becomes normal because you're surrounded by death.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of have dark humor. I find the gross funny. It's just is. The problem is it's over and over and over and over and over and over again, and I'm getting a bit. I don't
It's
know,
a lot.
but I will give it a chance, because the first season was it was my favorite show. I was just like, I kept going on and on and on about it on the channel because this show is amazing. But it's
Yeah, there's room for both on both times, but yeah, kind of a yin and yang in that way. So the last one, just because I know you said you didn't like the first animated version of it, the last one that we're glossing over before we might talk a little bit about these other ones. The Witcher, Sirens of the Deep. Any interest in it?
No, not at all. To be honest, and The Witcher is about to die as a franchise anyway, so we should think. I didn't even enjoy the live action part 1 of the live action series. I thought it was shit.
The live action series has always been. I really enjoy Henry Cavill and everything Henry Cavill's doing, and then I like a lot of what some of the characters are doing, and then some of what a lot of the characters are doing, and not a lot of what what is like the bulk of what's going on.
Yeah, there's an awful lot going on. You don't care about this. I don't know why they're talking about it.
There's some really great moments, but that's it.
Yeah, but if you own shares in the Witcher TV show, sell them.
Sell them quick.
Yeah, because that is going, and it is. I mean, that is. It's metaphorically, it's an airplane on fire, screaming towards the ground, and your best pilot has just jumped out of the plane with a parachute.
Yeah,
and he's got fire extinguishers with him.
Even though you don't love the animation and the animation style of it, do you think that The Witcher could move on and live more in animation than it would in live action? Because this one, the what's it called, Sirens of the Deep, this one is getting the video game actor to voice Geralt again, and it's not Henry Cavill, it's not Liam Hemsworth, it's the same guy.
Yeah. I think Peter Moore's just made a point there. Warhammer, I think that will be the next big. That could very well be the next big thing. There's a couple of other things coming as well, which I think are really exciting. I'll have to do a video on what's coming up in the next couple of years that I think is exciting at some point. But yeah, I think getting Geralt done by the original voice actor again is a very good idea. I think if they do something that's very anime, it won't be for me, but it will be popular.
Yeah,
but it's not my kind of thing.
It's just the only way forward for Netflix Witcher. I think they as much as we love Miss Michelle Yeoh that we were talking about earlier, that she was the only good part about that prequel, and she was barely in it either. That's
again Netflix realizing they were saying about 8 episodes, 6 episodes, maybe we'll do 4. I think they started. I honestly think there was an honest thing of making that and going, this is shit. Jesus Christ, let's get it done. There seems to be almost a defeated attitude throughout it, going, this is just not very good. What the hell are we thinking? The problem is with The Witcher, I like Liam Hemsworth. It might be good. If they get is this the 3rd season or 4th season? 3rd season, isn't it?
4th and 5th are going to be Liam Hemsworth, and they're done.
Right. So if the 4th season, if they get into a 5th season, right? If they actually do it, I know I know they've said they're going to.
They've technically greenlit, but
if they actually do it, it's got half a chance, because there will be a massive dip because people go, where the hell is Henry Cavill? But some people will still watch it. And if Liam Hemsworth is brilliant, they might win some of that audience back. Might. And then a 2nd season might do better. But whatever they do, the 1st season is going to absolutely bomb. No, people will not watch it.
It's going to be review bombed. It's going to be, as bad as some of that stuff is, every bad thing that can happen will happen to The Witcher season 4. It's just inevitable at that point. If it's good, and if he is good in it, and they do season 5, that's that kind of sweet spot and sweet point, hopefully. But
hopefully that'll bounce back, which is maybe why they've announced it so early, which is an odd thing for them to do, because Netflix don't really do that very often.
No, they hold their cards close.
So maybe that's why they've done it, because they know it's going to struggle at first, and they've got to sort of give people the confidence to actually watch it. Maybe that's the plan.
You know what? I just thinking about it. We can go off The Witcher off after this, but just thinking about it, after 3 seasons is whenever your television show ends up your 4th season. You have to up the budget for everybody who's a main actor and a regular and all that.
Speaking,
Everybody else that's kind of the main actor in The Witcher doesn't cost that much. Do you think do you think the studio also kind of, or do you think Netflix themselves kind of pushed Henry away?
No, I think Henry walks away.
I think so too, but do you think that might have been part of it? They would have had to pay him more. So
I think if he'd have wanted to do it, they'd have got him on, because he is a big. To be honest, he's too big a star for it. If we're honest, they got him to do it because he wanted to do it, and then he fell out of love with it. He fell out of love with the way they were doing it. He fell out of love, with the way they were coming away from the canon sort of thing of the story. But also, he's got projects like Warhammer he desperately wants to do.
Yeah.
And Highlander. I honestly think Highlander, which will probably be 2025, has the potential to be massive.
Do you think they're going to go straight fantasy or fantasy sci-fi with it?
No, they'll go fantasy. They can't go fantasy sci-fi.
No alien, yada yada.
No.
Good.
They'll make it mystical and blah blah blah. And there will no be all this. There might only be one, but we won't see that in the first movie. I think. It looks like it's going to be a trilogy.
Cool.
But they won't make the same mistake again of blowing their load in the first movie. But that story, if they get that right, that's got the potential to be massive. That should be the movie of the summer, really. And they've got the right actor. The only thing I think is, how the hell do they cast the Kurgan? Because whoever it is has got to be bigger than Henry Cavill.
I heard someone say Momoa would be decent.
I know he's got that cheeky grin thing. He's not scary. Dave Bautista 5 years ago, maybe.
Yep. That someone said Bautista, someone said Momoa, and then there was I think it was on a John Campea stream like a month or two ago. They were talking about this, and they said Dave Bautista, Jason Momoa, and then there was somebody else they named, and that it was a good name. I just can't think of who it was.
There's got to be somebody that if you see them walking down the street, you will cross the road. They've got to be terrifying. And I don't think that's Jason Momoa. I know he's big, but he's got that glint in his eye, and he's got that cheeky, chappy thing going on. For me, it wouldn't be him. Dave Bautista, a couple of years, I don't think Dave Bautista could do it now, but a couple of years ago, he would have been perfect for it.
It's not the right person, I don't think, just like scary wise. I mean, he could look scary, but it wouldn't be like the imposing kind of scary. He's a big guy, but I'd say hire me for the part. Hey, I'm not that big. I can be scary, but I ain't that scary. They are keeping Queen's music though. That's very important. I'm very happy. I can't remember his name. He played the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man, and then Spider-Man.
The Welsh fella, Reese
Ifans. The thing that comes to mind is obviously Lizard, but he played Rasputin in the.
He was great in that.
Kingsman.
Yeah, the Kingsman. He was good in that.
Imposing as hell and great in that.
The thing is, they've got to do somebody that's got a charisma, and he's got, like I said, he's got to be imposing, and they could go really left field with it. I still say though, and I know everyone's going to shout at me, but they should cast Michelle Yeoh as Ramirez.
I do like that, but then I heard someone say Antonio Banderas as well, and
he can't sword. He can't swing a sword.
Actually, he's Zorro. He better be able to swing a sword.
Yeah. But like saying, I'm just like, I like the idea of, okay, Ramirez was a father figure, kill a mother figure. That's way more.
That reasoning I do like a lot.
Yeah, no one else does. You're the only one. Everyone else thinks I'm an idiot.
Well, I like the reasoning, but then there's Antonio Banderas there, and there's other people like that that's just great. But it's Michelle Yeoh. So you wanna jump into some of these heavier trailers that we might actually have?
We've got 20 minutes, and I'm done. So.
We got 3 minutes per. We've got this. Avatar: The Last Airbender, February 22nd. Did you like the trailer?
It was a whole lot of live action cartoon, and I love the cartoon. Not as much as you weirdo.
I love the cartoon.
I did love the cartoon. There was not enough in there for me to decide. You can see where they've spent the money.
Yeah. There wasn't enough to decide. I'm with you there, but like I think there was enough to decide. Like maybe not. Actually, there wasn't. I was about to say there might have been in like the acting field, but not in the action field aspect of it.
I think you can get a feel for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, you got they got the tone across and the aesthetic.
You get the tone of it, which is going to be, I think, a live action version of the cartoon, which is not a terrible thing to do because that's what they fucked up on when they tried to do this before.
The M Night, I love M Night Shyamalan, but that might be one of the worst movies ever made.
He messed it. He got the tone wrong from day one. So yeah. One or two of the CGI shots, I'm hoping they're going to re-render because one or two of them were dodgy.
I'm hoping that they get that Sonic kind of thought process on it. You get some feedback, fix it.
They need a bit of touching up in a few areas, but it looks beautiful. I can see, like I said, I can see where all the money's been spent. Yeah. I think it's going to be epic.
The actors looked great. That made me happy. The set design looked really good.
Do you think it'll be popular?
That I have, I don't know, but I would say yes because there are few things that have as hardcore of a fan base as Avatar, and part of that is kind of that whole like anybody that ever watched Clone Wars watched Avatar first. Most people don't realize it, but Dave Filoni directed a few Avatar episodes and was a big animator on that show, which. It all makes sense at the end of the day. It's small world or whatever, you know. But that entire my generation of people, the I think 5 years below me and 7 years above me, maybe even 5 or 10 years above, that whole millennial kind of generation as well. That's all Avatar. They all have Avatar, and half of them have told their parents to watch it, and they're like, "Well, you know, that's a lot better than what I thought it'd be."
I'm older than you, and I loved it. I watched all of it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It's great. It's the sleeping giant of fantasy. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of
my line, bitch. Oh, I stole that line from an MGM marketing officer. So.
But no, it kind of I feel like would be that same thing where Stargate just has that fan base that's just ready to tackle it. Avatar does too, and
yeah.
It's a devoted fan base, and I'm happy to be part of it. I've got multiple posters all behind me. I need to put them up on the wall, but I need frames for them first, and that's expensive. I'll do that over time.
It's a very cool. I just saw David B's comment about I find Eddie Izzard scary. He's in a movie at the moment, and he plays a very good villain. He is a little scary, or she now is a little scary. He did a gangster thing called I can't think what it's called, but when he was intimidating, he was properly intimidating. Oh, sorry, and he was in Hannibal, the series that did Hannibal. He played a serial killer, and he was good in it. But anyway, sorry. So yeah, I don't think it'll be popular myself, but we'll see.
It's if Netflix has ever marketed anything, which they haven't, besides House of Cards. Alexander Skarsgård would be good. He's good in everything. The Northman, that's such a good movie.
That's what they need. They need that's not a bad shout actually. They need somebody like Nordic, Viking-y,
that could play a Scotsman.
Yeah. You know, that thing of like, he's got to have the voice. Whoever it is has got to have the voice. That's the thing with the Kurgan, was his voice. Jumps in the car, Mom! You know, sort of thing. He's got to do that. But you've got to be you know, the original character. He's on the horseback and he's riding up and he's surrounded by hundreds of warriors, but you're the only, he's the only one you're looking at. And you're looking at him going, Jesus God, that guy is terrifying. And that's what they need. They've got to get it right. If they get it right, it'll be a monster. It'll be an amazing movie. I actually don't think Henry Cavill as the Highlander is right. I think that's a terrible mistake. I love Henry Cavill. I adore him. And he can really swing a sword. He'll be brilliant in the fight scenes. We've proved that with The Witcher. And I love him as an actor. And he can do the type of acting he's going to have to do with that is quite withdrawn, which I think he's perfect for. Again, I think he's too big. The whole thing about it is Christopher Lambert is significantly smaller than the Kurgan, but faster. He's agile. The use of the sword. The Kurgan uses a big broadsword. The Highlander uses the katana, a more elegant weapon sort of thing, because it's the fighting style. So the style in the fighting is sort of like shown in the style of the sword and everything as well. The style and everything of the fighting. So for me, I'd have done Henry Cavill as the Kurgan.
Who would you have done as Highlander?
Maybe somebody we've never heard of. But for me, somebody that's a bit smaller than Henry Cavill, slighter build, somebody that's like a dancer or something, I think, that moves like that sort of thing, would have been really good.
Ballet kind of somebody or something.
Yeah,
somebody that just has that
a sword fight is like a dance.
There's
a dance to it. But somebody that can move, that has that rhythm sort of thing. But like I say, maybe somebody we've never heard of, because Henry Cavill would still be the star. The problem is you can't do that because he'd be dead. So I think you have to kill him in the first film. But I would have loved to see that, because I think Henry Cavill would have fucking loved it as well. I mean, he could play the villain. Who doesn't want to play the villain?
I mean, honestly, I want to play a lot of villains. It's the fun stuff. You got to do all the fun stuff in it,
Yeah.
But yeah.
What were the other ones? Because we've done it again, haven't we? We've now got 12 minutes.
So, Pat, I can talk about Avatar all day, and we will be talking about it in the upcoming months until we get there. So, something that comes out a little sooner. Actually, I'm going to change the order just so we'll talk about Rebel Moon last. That way we can do a little like topper with that. Umbrella Academy Season 4. They didn't release a trailer, but some cool promo materials. I know we're both Umbrella Academy fans. I'm pumped.
Mentally adorable. It's just you've got to watch it. I always say to you, when I'm working, I'm doing my paperwork, I have background TV shows. That's can't be background TV show. No. You've got to watch the crap out of that.
Sophia Boutella is in Rebel Moon, but I've always thought of the girl from Umbrella Academy, the one that came in Season 2, Season 3, the one that is dating Diego or has the kid with Diego. She feels like I don't like to say B-level version of Sophia Boutella, but kind of like the B-level version of Sophia Boutella. I love it. It's so good. But watch that. We'll be talking about it when it comes out, of course. Did you get to see Damsel, though? That one was interesting.
I was told about Damsel ages ago by somebody that saw some of the early...
you said something about Millie Bobby Brown doing something months and months ago.
But I didn't really know more than that. He told me that Millie Bobby Brown was doing this thing, and it's a bit fantasy, and it's epic, apparently. He says it's really, really good. And they're completely flipping the hero story on its head. And he seemed to think it's great. He was...
the trailer looked really cool.
Yeah. And
it didn't give anything away.
Is bulked up like crazy. He says people go on and about what Scarlett Johansson did for the Widow, Black Widow sort of thing. Apparently the director and stuff were really, really happy with Millie Bobby Brown. She absolutely threw 1,000,000% at it, which is really nice to hear when an actress commits sort of thing.
So that means the Nola Holmes will actually be good now.
You see in the advert the bit where she pulls the sword and then gets ready.
Oh, yeah.
You see in her shoulders, she's 100%. She's throwing herself into this.
She looks like Natalie Portman from Thor, just smaller.
Yeah. But I think that could be. We're talking about a lot of other Netflix shows coming. That could be a big hit. I think that
Yeah.
could really work. They've got the right actress at the right point in her career. Yeah, that could be.
It is a movie, right?
I think it's a series, isn't it?
I think it's a movie.
You told me it was a series.
I hope it's a movie because they are doing Enola Holmes 3. Got to be better than Enola Holmes. Because Cavill still has a working relationship if they're still doing Enola Holmes because he's their Sherlock. So the whole he's got to still have a good working relationship with Netflix at least.
Yeah.
Enola Holmes, I like the idea of both of the films, the concepts of them. I don't like the way they were executed. I would hope
the second one wasn't very good. The first one at least had a bit of charm to it.
Yeah.
And then the second one, not so much.
It expected you to still think that charm from the first one was still there, and it just like glossed over the entire movie.
No, it's a movie. It's a short movie.
I thought so. I hope it's released theatrically, and because Netflix has started to do that a little bit. I'm gonna go see Rebel Moon in theaters as well. I would really hope that they do release it theatrically, and it allows her to kind of shine in that way because she's Netflix's golden girl. She's their darling. I think it would be in their best interest to put her and themselves forward on the big screen with that. Fingers freaking crossed. I don't know. I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I thought it looked great, and like I said, when it made me as soon as I saw the advert, I was like, this is what Mike and this is what the person was talking about.
The what?
I didn't say anything then. This is what he was talking about, and I've got a year ago, maybe not quite a year ago. It was this year, so 7 or 8 months ago that he saw an early version. He said this is going to be epic. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
And the trailer didn't give anything away at all, which was really nice about it. It was.
Yeah, I think it's the first. I think she's going to go on a quest. I think the trailer's only the first maybe 10, 15 minutes of the film, but we'll see.
Oh, really? Because that was a lot of stuff in it.
Impression I got, but I don't know that. That's just what
that
was.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, that I don't know. That just excited me. I didn't expect to see that at all, and whenever I watched it, I just came away just excited.
I'd completely forgotten about it. You know, sometimes I get told these things, it just goes out my head. But you know, I get 10 emails a day sometimes.
That's more than I check. What?
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. What?
Keep these conversations going though, because then they tell you something golden. So it's not good. But anyway,
so we got Dos Mas, the first one. The last one's Rebel Moon. We know that, but the one that we have before that, Dead Boy Detectives. Yeah,
I was a bit confuddled by this.
It was a little young adult CW for me.
Yeah,
and I think part of that, I believe, Greg Berlanti is part of it, and he did a lot of the CW stuff, which is why I might be completely wrong on that. But it's in the Sandman world.
Yeah.
Of what they did with the TV show. So that gives me hope that it's good. And I did like the trailer. It just felt a little campy.
I saw the trailer for Sandman and I thought, oh, they've ruined this. I saw the first episode of Sandman and thought, oh, they've ruined this. And I stuck with it. By the third episode of Sandman, I was completely in love. So it's one of those projects that 100% give it a try because I think it'd be worth it. And I think it'll add to that universe. And, but the trailer is confusing.
Yeah, it's a little all over the place.
So, yeah, but so is Sandman. Because it's coming from that type of universe, isn't it? It is all over the place. That's kind of... But when you get into it, it'll make sense. But it jumps... I'm looking forward to the Sandman more because I think it'll jump a bit less because we're going to get one story arc instead of 4 comics sandwiched together. Yeah, well... We're not going to have to deal with many more of them, so don't worry about it.
Thankfully.
Lois and Superman is bloody brilliant. I love that show.
I still haven't watched it. I don't know. Part of me makes
the first few seasons of The Flash. It is very much a relic of the past. It is very much that kind of show. It's very much a CW show, but it's good. I really like it. They've really, really thrown the CGI into it. For a TV show, it's pretty good, to be honest. They haven't messed about it.
I've only ever heard like really good things about it.
Yeah, but I'm just watching the first season at the moment. That is a background show. I have to admit, I have that in the background when I'm working. But I'm really enjoying it, and because it is the sort of show you can not watch it for 5 minutes and come back and go.
One of the reasons I never picked it up is it not so. I guess Superman and Lois. It's not a show about superhero home life, right? Like that was okay. That's one of the reasons I haven't ever watched it. Is just like
it's a lot about his kids.
I like the concept and the idea. I just don't necessarily know if I want to divulge the time. You know, is my only thought process.
No, there is no. It's supposed to be set. They imply that Smallville is still canon, even though it's not,
because it's all based off of the Infinite Crisis on Infinite Earths or something, right?
Well, it would be basically sort of thing. The first 7 seasons of Smallville would still be canon, but the last 3 seasons can't be because of the way they did it. The New Adventures of Superman could still be canon because it's supposed to be kind of after that, but it would also be after which film? Maybe the films are still canon. I don't know, but he's supposed to be a bit older. So him and Lois have been together 10 or 15 years. They've got like 15-year-old kids. It's supposed to be further down the line than what we've seen before, sort of thing. Like I say, he's a bit older. But yeah, think CW. Think CW at its best. It's that sort of show. But like I said, you can flip in and out of it. You can go to the loo, don't bother pausing it. You won't miss. It'll be fine. You'll figure it out. So I think it's that sort of show.
Okay.
Popcorn
that makes sense.
TV, for CW. Popcorn TV. You know.
Yeah. Interesting. Krypton's one that I've heard. I've also heard good things about. I've heard some not so good things, but I've heard some mostly. I never even tried. That and then Pennyworth, I think, kind of came out around the same time, and I heard good things about both, and I just never.
Yeah, I tried with Krypton, couldn't get into it.
Really?
Yeah, the story. I was just like, you get to the 3rd or 4th episode, and like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't care, and then you turn it off, don't you? But yeah, I couldn't get into it. But it didn't last. Is it still going? I don't even know.
I think so, but isn't that a sci-fi show? It's on like sci-fi, isn't it?
Well, that's what they're going. I don't watch it.
So might be one of the issues there.
Yeah, but it's not very good.
Speaking of
me anyway.
Science fiction, science fantasy. Speaking of space things, Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire.
Again, my
god-awful name, but
an acquaintance of mine saw an early version of this about 6 months ago, and he said this is Zack Snyder smashing it out of the park, and he says it is. If you don't watch this at the cinema, there's something wrong with you. Was basically what I was told. It's the ultimate cinema movie.
Are they going to release it in the cinema is the question. I don't think they are in most places.
Oh, God. Well, if they don't, they're nuts.
Well, actually, I'm pretty positive.
Is it Netflix again?
Yeah, it's Netflix. I'm pretty sure they just released that they I think I saw it a day or two ago. Don't quote me on it just because I can't remember exactly where, but
limited.
I think they're doing the Egyptian theater, the theater they own in New York. I think they're only releasing it in 7 or 8, 9 theaters, like special little niche ones.
They do a special theater run, that'll be fine. They'll do it just enough to so they can get their best special effects Oscar sort of thing, won't they?
And I'm gonna go see it opening night in the Egyptian theater. I got to.
It'll be at the Odeon down here in London, and I'll try and go because he said it is. He says it's epic. He says it's one of those, and he didn't even see the final version, so a lot of the CGI was still being rendered and stuff. So I mean, I don't even think he saw the whole film actually. It was a very early version he saw anyway, but he was basically saying, yeah, this could be the what he said to me was this is everything June wished it was. Was what he said to me.
Really?
Yeah. It's June.
because it's far too busy for. I really don't think it's going to be half as successful as people think it's going to be. Part of that is the first trailer was messy. It looked fun, but it was messy, and it didn't really give you anything for the story. This one helped a lot more for the story, which was nice.
I think if you like anime and that sort of like sci-fi anime, you're gonna love the style. I'm thinking about that, the thing of Yamato and stuff, like, the space battleships and things that. If you like that sort of thing, you're gonna love the style of this.
I just worry with Snyder. I tend to either absolutely adore the things he does, or they're just I don't truly dislike anything he's done, but the things that he's done that I don't love, they're such middling things to me that I almost just view them. I shouldn't view them with vitriol, but there's just so in the middle that it's just like they piss me off. Like I don't like Man of Steel. I don't like Batman versus Superman. I don't like Sucker Punch. Army of the Dead was not middle of the road. That was god awful.
That was another film though that looked incredible.
Yeah, and that worries me for this.
It's like they did 75% of it and they thought, that'll do. It didn't feel finished.
When he goes style, because people are like style over substance for him, and that's what he does a lot. That visual style over substance. The people just brooding instead of actually doing anything, or a bunch of slow motion, which is annoying. But then you get Watchmen, which still very well is in the conversation for my favorite music video, comic book movie video. Comic book movie, whatever I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying. Ever. And 300's amazing.
300's still one of the best comic.
His version of Dawn of the Dead, great.
Yep. I think with Snyder, he's brilliant when he hasn't got somebody over his shoulder. And he needs to do it, on his... It needs to be a Zack Snyder film. Or I feel like Batman versus Superman was a movie that was ruined by committee.
Yeah.
Because actually, 95% of that film is brilliant. 2 or 3 moments in it really make you go, there's a comic book. I loved it personally. I mean, these are all my opinions, obviously. Yeah. I love that movie, except for 2 or 3 bits in it that are terrible. Why'd you say that name? Because it's my mom's name. Fuck off.
So my biggest issue with Snyder a lot of times is I think he thinks what he has is absolutely brilliant all the time. And that, I think, is my biggest issue with him, because I don't think there's enough drafts, if that makes sense. I think it's more of a rough draft and, okay, maybe one polish. Let's do this thing. And there should be about 7 or 8 drafts before you jump on something.
Yeah, but I would almost think that like something like Superman and the DC stuff, I think that was probably too much. Like I said, I think it was too many cooks spoil the broth sort of thing. It's what we saw with the Justice League, wasn't it? It's just like this. Whatever you say about the Snyder version is better.
Oh, much better.
Much better.
It's not perfect, but it is.
No, but again, it was
better.
If you think about how that was actually put together, it's impressive they were able to put together a coherent movie. So I mean, that is impressive. Now I just think this film I think will be visually stunning, as most of his stuff is, and it's got a basic story that has been told a million times, because it's just a remake of The Magnificent Seven, Seven Samurai. It's a story of the Three Amigos. It's a story that's so. If you take it from that point of view, one of the criticisms you can say about Zack Snyder is that he sometimes lacks that substance. He's telling a story that is universally loved and been retold several times. So you could argue from that argument that he's got a basic foundation there that's already.
And
good.
he did write it as a Star Wars film originally, so really he's just like switching stuff up to fit a different narrative than what he originally thought it was. So he's got a lot of foundation.
It feels like a Star Wars movie to me. When I'm looking at that, as soon as you know that it was originally going to be a Star Wars film, you watch it again.
It feels like Narnia and Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's like Narnia and Star Wars had a baby to me.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm really looking forward to see what they do with it.
I haven't been as excited for a Zack Snyder film since the Snyder Cut, I guess. Because Army of the Dead, I was pumped for, but it didn't feel 100% right, and that's my biggest worry with this one. But the cast is so good. It is a tried and true tale, and it's been told so many times that I think he has a good foundation to work off of with that, plus the Star Wars foundation. And he loves Seven Samurai. He's talked about that for years and years and years. So hopefully just the love for that, knowing his love for that. I mean, Watchmen is pretty top for me, but I don't know. Just because he loved Watchmen just like he loves it feels like he loves what he's talking about with Rebel Moon. I'm just hoping that's the same case.
This is a love project rather than a pay packet,
which is cool.
Maybe
which is great.
Superman versus Batman was. So
and Army of the Dead. That's what I didn't like most about Army of the Dead was you got we're getting this sequel, this sequel, this sequel, this sequel, this sequel, and this tie-in before they ever released the movie, and you could just tell the movie was going to be a clusterfuck of just shite, and it was really what it was.
Influence on you using the word shite. Been a terrible influence on you over these years.
It sounds better sometimes. The actors aren't all top tier actors also for Rebel Moon. Yeah, but they're
not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. They're top tier in their own like regards though. Charlie Hunnam's like he's top tier in a different he's top tier action star. Not even money making action star like that necessarily though. I get what you're saying, and I don't necessarily think I have the right term to put on all those actors, but they're not all your big head honchos. They're not the people that you typically see leading something. They're like your really good secondary actors that tend to be in this movie. I think and I hope that's going to be really good.
I think you get a film like this, you do not need any top tier actors in this type of thing. You didn't in Watchmen, for example. Yes, I am. I don't know what's wrong with me. As soon as we start this video, I was like,
you know what you did? You spent 30-40 minutes watching movie trailers before you got to the video.
Oh, yeah. You brought me a message going, crap, I'm going to have to watch all these things.
You're like, well, shit, what do I got to watch?
I was supposed to do a Sidetrack article this afternoon because I haven't done one this week. And I just couldn't be bothered. And then I realized that What We Do in the Shadows Series 5 is finally on Disney+. So that took up an hour and a half.
You haven't seen the new season?
It's only just come on Disney+. It's appeared on Disney+ now. So I'm loving it. I've watched 2 episodes already instead of doing an article. So I'm not doing my job for you lovely people because I started watching What We Do in the Shadows instead.
It might be the best season.
I'm loving it so far.
I didn't know how they were going to. I was worried. I thought this season was going to suck after last season.
Yeah, no, it never gets old, does it? It's almost they've gone back to, talking about how a show grows. They were getting it bigger. Yeah. It was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now they've sort of gone back to the thing again. So they've reinvented it. They've gone back to the like the first series again. It always feels like I just love it. I think it's great, and it's just and the humor just does not grow old. I just love that show.
I won't give anything away because you have to experience it, and you have to let us know each step of the way, of course. But they reinvent themselves again by the end of this season. And it's still like very humorous, but kind of like what we were talking about earlier. It's more of a dark humor, and they go back into more of like, wait a second, these are vampires.
Yeah, let's remember they eat people.
And I don't know what they're doing next season, but just like I would be worried, But then they handled this season as well as they did after all the Colin Robinson stuff, which I didn't think was going to be possible. Because the entire season, I was like, this is really great. I do like it, but like,
I just get wondering, how much is this costing? It's like, that Colin Robinson stuff was great. How much is this costing?
Floating head, all it, Mark, whatever. I can't think of his name, but oh god, he's so good.
They did pretty well with it as well. It was pretty good.
It made sense.
Occasionally, it was all like, oh, his head's about to fall off. But generally, I don't know, man, it's pretty good.
It was so good. You're gonna just keep us posted because.
No, I'm loving it. I can't believe I never started watching this. I watched all 4 seasons in like a week.
You said in like a couple days, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I just smashed through them, and you know, in my job, if I'm not concentrating, people could die. And I lost a couple, but it was fine.
They're English.
Yeah. Oh, it's a phenomenal show.
It's not as funny as the show because they it's like I know people love The Office, and The Office was like the U.S. office is great because they had the UK office to work off of. But in the same way, people crucify me for it all the time. Parks and Rec is still the better version of that type of show, no matter what. I think.
Yeah, I like that.
But it's because they had those to work off of, and they had that. What We Do in the Shadows the same way. The movie is amazing, and you had to go back and watch the movie. But the TV show took what they had and were like, "Oh, we got something." And obviously, we got.
Well, they cast it better. If I'm honest, it was cast better.
The movie is just a bunch of friends, but it still works so
well. But yeah, it might be my favorite show on TV at the moment. It's and when it's funny, because I mean, so a lot of it's just quick little one-liners, and you just sort of like you don't really laugh out loud, but you're just enjoying it, you know. It's just like that. But then when it just takes a second and it's properly like, I'm gonna have to pause this because
you're just
laughing my ass off. This is the bit where they get when they get locked in the vets sort of thing, and then
from this season where Nadia and Guillermo.
Yeah, I think it might be in the first season. But and the cats are all on him, and they're digging his claws, and he's like, you little bastards! I'm just like, I'm like, they're so funny, and it was just 1 second. You know, you thought this episode was done, and then just had that little, oh man, when it's funny, it's.
And obviously, like Nandor and Laszlo are the ones that are like, oh, those are the 2 main funny people. They're not though. Every single, I mean, those are the ones that you just think of because they're the most like caricature kind of people, and they're both great. Laszlo is my spirit animal, but Guillermo, Nadia's doll. I mean, literally everybody has these amazing moments. What's the neighbor's name?
Sam,
Ben, Bob. I don't know. It's something
like that.
He's great.
Huh.
It might be Sam. You might have been right.
Yeah, the proper New Yorker. What are you doing?
I could do just thinking about it.
Is it Laszlo? I'm going to mix the names up now. I'm going to really annoy me. Who's not the little one, the tall one? That's Laszlo, right?
No. Nandor is long hair. Nandor Relentless.
Nandor does boxing match and he trips, and then he uses the hypnotism to everybody. You did not see me trip. You forget everybody that tripped. That's just so good. Again, they've got some budget for that series.
Oh yeah. They started with a decent budget, but they got a budget now. Easy peasy. Have you seen the
human form?
The Guillermo. Oh my god, you're gonna this season just
Guillermo. Bat. He is.
Did you? I don't remember. It's either the first episode or like the middle of the season where they are where the news crew is getting the water pipe fixed in front of their house, and there's like a big old sinkhole, and Nandor says
they're finding all that. Yeah, and they're going to find all.
And he has to hypnotize the entire, I guess, whoever's watching TV.
I love that one where they did the actors. They do the show where they come in and revamp the house sort of thing. I love that episode. It was so left field. It was so like I don't think I'm going to like this. And I
just love both off by the end.
I ate the brother immediately. Just love that. And then they've got the house is exactly the same except this incredible bathroom. It's just like I don't know. It's a great show.
The upstairs for Guillermo gets like pimped out completely. Then just we didn't have the budget, so.
And you've eaten half the crew, so which also was a little bit of a problem. But it's such a clever show.
It's
I love it.
It fits it hits you in the comedy spot, so it gets that like fun sitcom kind of like part of your brain ticked, and then it gets that like genre kind of like let me go a little sci-fi, let me go a little fantasy, let me go monster or something. It fits that little genre click, and it just wires you in.
And it's because it's such good characters. You actually care about them as well. So you actually care about what happens, and that's fair. Anyway, we've ran over by nearly 20 minutes.
We got 4 pieces of news that we're going to go through in 45 seconds. Are you ready?
Go.
All right. The Academy is honoring Peter Cullen with the Lifetime Achievement Award. That's amazing. You might not recognize the name, but that is Optimus Prime himself. And many other things. Just look at his IMDb.
Gargoyles.
But gargoyles. And there's one other one that I should be able to say off the top of my head I can't think of. But Optimus freaking Prime. Look him up. He's great. Last of Us Season 2 has been rushed into production. It will begin filming January 2024, which means we'll get it probably, hopefully, early 2025. Maybe mid 2025. Probably summer.
Summer 2025, yeah.
Summer, yeah, something like that. That's right. So Warner Brothers Discovery is shopping Wile E. Coyote versus Acme now. And that we're gonna have to do a whole video.
I don't know what the bloody hell they're doing with that.
That might be a good live thing at a certain point. Just
everybody said it's good, but they don't want to spend another $30 million on the marketing it.
Do you think that plays into? Oh, this is a whole different question. We could go into it, but do you just think partially that plays into them trying to not necessarily be like a studio making things for other studios? Do you think that kind of like just
they want somebody else to pay for it, don't they?
Yeah, just plays into it a little bit.
It's the long-term strategy. They will still make stuff for themselves, but
because they weren't going to do it, and they were just going to get the tax write-off before they got the pressure to be like, "Hey, this is good. Why the hell aren't you releasing it? Hey, this is good."
It was actually going to be, more cost-effective.
Batgirl and Scoob,
yeah.
But last piece of news: Showtime Anytime. Their little service that goes to different services, it's nixed. It's no longer. It's shut down, and all of their catalog is heading to Paramount Plus, which boosts Paramount Plus a lot, actually, and that will hopefully help them out while selling their company, because that boosts their stock price up a little bit. Gives them something to work with.
Small problem. It's it'll save them a lot of money as well, because they'll save a lot of money on servers.
Okay.
So having one place rather than two is a good thing. The smaller problem is they've now got one less company to sell, because they're basically merging Showtime and Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
And that is not ideal, but it's cost effective, basically.
It's cost effective for me too, because I was subscribed to Showtime on Amazon. So now, thank you.
Well, it's 2 smaller services into one bigger one, but I mean, we don't get Showtime in the state in the UK. So this is leading into what I was talking about. Paramount Plus in the States will continue as the streaming service of NBC, basically. And is it all access? I think that's gone now, isn't it? Is it just Paramount Plus?
Well, Peacock is NBC's like main thing.
So these things might end up becoming one thing, basically, is what we're saying. But in America, it'll continue. It's just worldwide, internationally. It'll probably just die off and be absorbed into Netflix, or I'm actually hearing Apple.
It's hard to do. This is just a thought for a live. If we ever need a live on a Sunday or something like that, and we just don't have a topic. Do you think it's hard because of contracts per country and contracts
Yeah.
per region, contracts per whatever. But in the age of the internet, in the age of you're sitting in the UK right now, I'm sitting in California. We got people on the East Coast of the US. We got people in Texas, and we got people everywhere. Should these companies, these international companies, have Disney Plus and Hulu or whatever? Should they have Disney Plus be Disney Plus? Should HBO have their thing? And not necessarily, I guess, the way we have it and know it now. After this whole thing's all settled and done, and the dust is all settled, should we have international things? So we're not talking about, well, is this on that for you, or is this on that for me? That way, it's all released at the same time. We're on the same note, because I keep talking on Sidetrack and in the Sidetrack Facebook group about Scavenger's Reign. Nobody in the UK can watch it yet, and it sucks because you don't need to watch it so bad. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and I meant CBS, didn't I? Not NBC, didn't I? I've just done a couple of comments.
Yeah,
you got to remember, I'm British. We don't have these in our country, so I will mix them up occasionally.
But kind of case in point, do you think that'd be like, it'd be easier for us to all talk about it and not get so convoluted with it? It'd be easier for them to promote all this stuff if they have it and can promote it in one thing, I guess.
Well, I mean, like I said, for the States, Showtime, Paramount makes sense. That'll be their streaming service, and it'll be CBS, I think. I'm doubting myself now, but it'll be CBS that will hold that and keep it, and that'll be their streaming wing, sort of thing. They've got some really good properties on there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, a lot of the stuff MTV Studios is doing is smashing it. And I know that's obviously owned by Paramount as well, or Paramount Global. I think it's is that Paramount International. I think that there's so many subsidiaries to Paramount now. And that's the Comedy Network. All those TV shows come under that network as well. So there's a lot to Paramount. And the point that I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of wings of Paramount that can be sold off individually. Paramount's too big to sell in one hit. It's just too big. It'll almost certainly be sold. But so yeah, but Paramount has the possibility. Paramount has CBS because CBS and Paramount are owned by Paramount. It's one company. Yeah. A major reason why Paramount will go though is because its biggest shareholder is the company that owns Showcase Cinemas, Multimedia something it's called.
Okay.
They're struggling, and they need the money basically, and they've got the biggest voting rights. Yeah, I just realized.
You do it so you actually have like good internet speed, right?
I've got to turn it off for the internet speed. Yeah, my sons are here and they're playing games, so and I just couldn't be bothered to put it away. So, I've been videoing today. I've recorded 2 videos today, so I just lowered it and pushed it back.
I think it looks great. Would you rather Peter? You want to look at his laundry or green screen?
Exactly. David Bees, are you going to feel embarrassed at Basingstoke when everyone's queuing up for an autograph? I will not be asked for an autograph at Basingstoke Comic Con. But 3 or 4 people have already come and said that they'll be there, and I said, right, okay, we're gonna have to meet up. It'd be amazing.
I'm hiring 200 actors to come ask specifically for your autograph as you walk up to RDA and Joe Flanagan.
Yeah. Well, and Matt is coming, which is a massive bonus. I cannot wait. I've still not met Matt face to face, and he doesn't live that far away.
But y'all are close, which Stormy and I have been close a couple times too, though. So
it's about an hour's drive away. So I mean, I could go and see him at any point. We've just said as soon as there's like a big sci-fi movie, we'll have to go and watch it. But at very least, next May we are going to be sleeping in the same room. So he's gonna be sexier than that, baby. Yeah. So I
wait for the comments on that stream.
Yeah. I was a cheapskate though. I got 1 hotel room so, with twin beds. So cheapskate. But I've bought his ticket, so he can fuck off. And if he farts, I'll kill him. I hope he doesn't sleep talk. But yes, I've bought tickets to get photos with Richard Dean Anderson and Joe Flanagan, which I can't wait for. And I've contacted the Basingstoke organisers. I'm waiting for a response. I'm just trying to find out whether I can film in during the Comic-Con or not. So, but I'm hoping I
can. Honestly, apply for a press pass or something.
Well, that'll be my next step. I might have to do that. Yeah. But I need to get in touch with the marketing side of them. Really, I've just contacted their, like the email thing. I need to actually find the press side of it.
Yeah, and I'll do that. They don't like to make that easy.
In the night, I am just going to go up to the. I'm going to try and get Richard Dean Anderson to go shut up, Matt.
That'd be great. Okay, as meaningful as the RDA shut up, Matt would be, the Joe Flanagan one would be better. Just Joe Flanagan has like the perfect shut up, Matt. He
a little bit more
shut up. Perfect.
Yeah, but it's going to be great. Rodney. Yeah, I'm gonna lose my freaking fragile little mind when I meet Richard Dean Anderson. I really am.
Be amazing.
While we're on, I will mention this the weekend as well. The Companion are doing a big Thanksgiving episode. We have a little segment, and we hopefully will be doing a few more things with the Companion over the next few months.
It's a funny segment.
You are sorry?
It's a funny segment.
It is funny. It amused me. So that's a little hint. Yeah. So we'll hopefully do some stuff with the Companion over the next few months, which hopefully will open some doors up for stuff to do with Sci Trek. So fingers crossed. They'll
all the fingers crossed, something like that.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll mean we can maybe get contact with a few of these actors and maybe get them on or do stuff with them if we can. Hopefully, fingers crossed. As long as I don't say the wrong thing.
And every single one, their entry fee to discuss anything with Sci Trek has to be.
Shut up, Matt.
Shut up, Matt.
I think he'll be okay with being told to shut up by Richard Dean Anderson.
I would hope so. That I loved that entire. I told you I was cooking and watching the Companion streams because I wasn't able to watch it when y'all did it. So when I did, I was just waiting the entire time for the shut up, Matt. I was just like, "Where the hell is this? Where the hell is this?"
He was brilliant.
The joy on both of y'all's faces was just it was perfect. Oh my god.
He was glorious about that. He knew it was coming as well. He knew it. He was so.
Like,
he had me as well because I thought he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. He's too polite, bloody Canadians. And then, bam!
Oh, shut up, Matt. It was. If Loki has glorious purpose, Brad Wright met his glorious purpose right then. It wasn't SG-1. It was that moment. It was SG-1 walked, so shut up, Matt could fly. Not run, fly.
Nice.
Fly. But all that, we'd still talked for another 10 minutes after our 45 seconds of stuff. Surprise.
You killed me.
RDA would say, shut up, Matthew. I can see that. I can see that. But while we're getting out of here, let me go ahead and say like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done all that good stuff. You know we appreciate it. If you'd like, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that same thing. You know, we've moved the old M onto Snapchat, so go check that part out here. But speaking about these new M's, let's roll the intro / outro.
See you guys.
You got anything else you want to say before we head out? I should have said that before I said roll the outro.
Just started to need a wee. So excellent. Just started. Under 2 hours stream. I'm doing better.
218. Hold up. We got 9, 8, 7. We're gonna hit 219.
Please, love of God, end the stream.
3,
I want to go to bed.
2,
go end the stream.